Welcome to my Curious Mind podcast. I found myself being very curious about marketing or advertising, or another real name for it is propaganda. It's been around forever. Sometimes it is good and entertaining and tells a story. Sometimes it's just plain bad, focusing on just price and yelling at us. And sometimes it is seriously ugly and should never be on any medium. Marketing and propaganda, which I think is its true name, propaganda has been around with us forever. I think it's the world's oldest profession. Yeah, I know some will challenge that, but I think it is the oldest profession in the world. First, when you do some research about propaganda or marketing, it's got these nice names or nice descriptions such as word of mouth or results orientated. So let's look at history a little bit. And, propaganda has been used in so many different art forms to present a message. A play, a play is in Japan. They used to regularly tell stories of great victories. The same in ancient Greece, the same in ancient Syria. Everywhere I looked, plays were used to emphasize ideas, social ideas, propagandizing a figure or a personality, or in ancient world, perhaps, well, not just perhaps, a king or a hero, or making someone into a hero. Play, propaganda, the one common thing about the good is its ability to tell a story, always getting you involved in the story, grabbing you and pulling you in. The ancient Egyptians used hieroglyphs and great statues, immense, overwhelming physical monuments to tell you how important this individual is. And then in their pictographs and their hieroglyphics, they showed the pharaoh in massive size. Well, that's true not only in Egypt, but ancient Egypt has been doing it for a very long time. Recently, I watched on public television a whole story of hieroglyphics in ancient Egypt. Now, marketing. The written word has been a powerful piece in this whole story. In our world, the written word for marketing or propaganda purposes is no longer very effective. But in the ancient world and not so ancient world, it was used to spread mostly religions and mostly stories about the success of a king or a queen. If you can imagine a cloister with a row of monks handwriting slowly but surely very beautiful illustrations and putting little pictures there to reinforce the stories. When you look at the ancient Bibles, they are gorgeous pieces of work of art. They really are art. When you look at ancient Japanese writings of stories or propaganda about particular leaders, religious or warrior class or kings, they were absolutely beautiful. So the combination of a story and great art, the visual part of marketing, has been around, and it's around everywhere. In fact, if you walk through museums and you see a bronze mask from Nigeria, and you go, that's amazing, that was actually probably made for propaganda. It represented a great king, and they told stories wearing the mask. You know, the movable printing press, they gave something else. They allowed the distribution of information and materials all over the world quickly. Well, relatively quickly. I mean, think that it took 20 years to build a pyramid, which is a massive piece of propaganda, to tell that this pharaoh is the greatest that's ever lived, to a daily that came out for 1 cent on London Street. The evolution of tools of marketing is almost more important than the fact that we do marketing / propaganda all the time. I would imagine originally it might have been us sitting around a campfire in ancient times and saying, this red bush is really good. Word of mouth marketing. Then saying, find lots of these red bush and you will be rewarded. Well, so as you can see, it's always been about a story or, some way. But marketing and propaganda has always used technology quickly and fastly as possible. I remember reading about the rise of the Third Reich and how it captured an entire nation. They used two things to market Hitler and the Nazi philosophy very effectively. One was the radio. They had their own radio station. In fact, they built radios that would tune almost only that station. They just about gave them away so that people would tune in to listen. So that was one part of their propaganda machine. The other was planes, small, lightweight planes that flew Adolf Hitler to a convention, to a meeting, to an uprising, if you want, where he stood and talked. And they advertised it or propagandized it on the radio, telling people to go there. Does that sound familiar? It is the same strategy we see today in modern technology, except it's not radio, although they might use radio, they still use radio. It is the internet. Each time technology has come along, it has impacted and given marketing and propaganda a new tool. So we go from carving walls to tell us about the man, to written paper, to artwork, to printing presses, to radio, to television. Now, television is a brilliant medium because it is visual and it's sound and it involves us at an emotional level. It gets past our critical mind thinking because in 30 seconds or 60 seconds, they will tell you a story. I remember the first Nissan ad I saw, and I remember saying to my partner, look at that. There they are, they're stuck in traffic, and moments that they turn off and go on the trail, the rain stops, the sun comes out, and there's no traffic. In 30 seconds, they had told a story about a 4x4 and Nissan. Brilliant piece of marketing. But the ugly part, the ugly part is the little local ads that sometimes are unintentionally so bad that we watch them and laugh, but they are often an individual that is not that is not trained for the microphone, standing up and reading a pitch as if he's, I don't know what he is. And it is really ugly and sometimes. But the art of putting together an advert or a piece of propaganda has grown so good on television that we even have ads on the Super Bowl, and afterwards we vote which is the best ad. We have gotten so used to being marketed to sucking it up. Now, the biggest change, so Stonewall's printing press, radio, television, now the internet. Now, this is where, for me, it gets really weird. The internet, when you interact with the internet, it is egocentric marketing. They pull you in because they speak directly to you. It feels individual. It feels personal. It feels that they are talking to you. It is so powerful that organizations use it to convert and pull people in, and we get radicalization of the individual. Marketing has made it so powerful that really it is psychological propaganda where your ego is stroked and you are pulled in. The other thing about the internet is when you're looking at the screen, you feel like you're the only person there. That's what I mean by ego advertising. You know, when you're watching a television ad, that there are 50 other channels that you could go to and see different ads. But when you're on the internet, it's just you staring at that screen, you watching that little story or reading the story. And it's always a story. The good ones are always a story. But what is so powerful about the internet propaganda and marketing is that it excites the individual because it taps into their sense of victimhood. Me against the world. For so long we have had in movies, and by the way, movies were brilliant propaganda during the Second World War. In fact, it started even in the First World War. But I'll get back to that in a second. The internet. So there you are, and you think this is just for me. That's what egocentric marketing is all about. It's you. Oh, yeah, that's my story. Or I can relate to that. The thing is while you're looking at that screen, there could be 1 million, there could be 500 people, there could be 5,000, and in some cases, as many as 15 million people read the same story. We've just seen so many ugly things with that. And they just pull you in. You become a follower. You pay $1. $1 doesn't feel like much, or $2, or $5. But when you multiply it by 50,000 people, that's a lot of money. Well, let's get back to movies for a moment, because they are the next level, and they are coming and are used on the internet so carefully. So movies, we're told, are entertainment. We buy a ticket because it is entertainment. So you sit in the screen, you sit in the room, rather. You don't sit in the screen. Sorry about that. But there, you're in the theater. You bought a ticket. You bought a ticket. You knew that it wasn't real because you bought a ticket. There's maybe 500 to 1,000 people in the same auditorium. You got your snack of popcorn and you paid for the extra butter, and there you are with your friends and you watch the movie. What happens when you go into a movie is the same thing that happens on the internet. You go in and you momentarily suspend judgmental belief. You're not being a critic when you go in. You're waiting to have an experience. You're open to it. The movie allows you, because it's a story, to suspend judgment. And then the story gets into you and you have reactions, emotions, and feelings, and you come out motivated or angry or upset or just intrigued. But the movie's been successful if you've sat through it. You see, we make judgment with the frontal lobe of our brain. It's smallest part of our brain. Most of our brain is interactive and reactive to the environment. Visuals go past the frontal lobe and go directly to the back of our brain where we watch the movie. And it's so powerful, even though it is a movie, you know it's not real. If a gun suddenly goes off or a victim walks into a dark room, you can even feel yourself going, no, 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 don't go there. He's there. He's hiding. He's going to get you. Or that was a recent horror movie I watched, having it's an effect on me. So all of these visuals are much more impactful. That's why endless television online, such as Fox News or CN or MSNBC, I think, yes, they're all full of endless conversations and visuals. The conversations invite you to be judgmental, but do they really? Because if one person says one thing and four disagree, unintentionally you will follow the four. Because of our natural wish to survive, we go with the strongest group. Also, it's a great way to indoctrinate you. Fox TV is brilliant, has brilliant strategies to say things that a normal person would not say in a normal manner and not ask you to think about it, but just accept it as the truth, because the assumption is that it is the truth. Of course, recently, past President Trump has told the big lie, and it repeated so often in so many mediums and on the internet that those people who spend most of their life in front of a television or in front of a screen looking at the computers, they believe it. And once a belief is deeply ingrained, you are radicalized. You have lost your ability to make a decision, a well-informed, logical, sensible decision. So, the power of marketing, I have been curious about it. Some of it is good. Public service announcements to notifying you, look after your kids here or this or that. Then there's the local, the bad. Oh, some of them are so seriously bad. And then the ugly, the ugly. Marketing has become really good, and it really works. And the internet has made it feel real and created a generation that me, because you think it's all about you. The first time the customer is always right was two marketers, that believed Harry Gordon at Selfridges. He said the customer is always right. and we believed it. The customer is already right. Always right. Well, having worked in retail and owned several retail outlets at one particular point, and worked in marketing of hair and cosmetic products, I know that the customer is not always right. But I also know if you sell it the right way, marketing, propagandizing, turning somebody into a follower, you'll believe. The truth is, the customer is not always right. Once they are radicalized by becoming a fan, and a fan, and what I mean by a fan is, a fan really is a fanatic. That's what it's short for. Fan is actually a fanatic. You see, people believing in their football team or their soccer team or their basketball team or their baseball team, they become a fanatic. They, as a fan, wear all the regalia that markets that team. It happens for products too. There are some people that swear by Ford or swear by Tesla. They are fanatics. Now, I started off about being curious about the power of marketing. Here's the thing. The people that understand it the most and the best are politicians. They have really exploited it. They have really used it against us. It seems to me these days that politicians are not concerned about the welfare of the world as it is, or you and I. What they are concerned about and what they are motivated about is turning you into a fanatic and convincing you that they're telling the truth. I sincerely hope that this causes you to think. As always, this is Jeffrey, and I am always curious.